So, a massive tech investment just landed in the UK, nearly £5 billion, and it's all going towards one thing: artificial intelligence. Now, this isn't just some line item on a corporate budget, it's a huge move that could genuinely reshape industries. So, what does Google's big bet on British AI actually mean? Let's dive in.
£5 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. Let that number sink in for a second. That's the staggering commitment Google's parent company Alphabet is making to AI right here in the UK. A number like that isn't just an investment, it's a massive statement of intent. But where is all that cash actually going?
All right, so where does a number that big actually go? You don't just write a check for £5 billion. Let's break down the key pieces of this investment to see what's really being built.
Okay, so a massive piece of this pie, we're talking over £700 million, is going straight into building a brand new data center. That's the physical hardware, the backbone for all this AI. The rest, it's going to fuel the brilliant minds at the legendary London-based AI lab DeepMind. And get this isn't some 10-year plan. It's all happening in the next 2 years.
But why the UK? What's so special? Well, according to Ruth Porat, she's the president and CIO at Google, it's all about tapping into what she calls profound opportunities. She sees the UK as this perfect breeding ground for groundbreaking science. So this tells you, this isn't just about dropping some servers in a building. No, it's about being right at the bleeding edge of scientific discovery. But, a number this big doesn't just come out of nowhere. You have to zoom out a bit. It really points to something much bigger. This deepening strategic tech partnership that's forming between the US and the UK. And in fact, Ruth Porat calls it what it is, a special technology relationship. And look, she's not naive about it. She knows there are downside risks that the US and UK have to tackle together. But let's be real. The main event here, the real focus, is on what she calls the tremendous opportunity for both countries. And the timing here? Oh, it's absolutely crucial. Think about it. Just this past summer, everyone was saying Google was falling behind competitors like OpenAI. Now, that whole story has completely flipped. Their stock is surging, and their whole AI-first strategy is finally paying off, big time. So this move isn't happening in a bubble. It's actually part of a much bigger trend, and we're probably going to see more huge US investments in the UK really, really soon. And if you still don't get just how massive this is, check this out. Alphabet, Google's parent company, just got its VIP pass to the $3 trillion club. It's now hanging out with the absolute titans, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple. These are the companies that have the financial muscle to literally build the future, and they are making their moves right now.
Okay, so we've got all this incredible tech, all this investment, but it brings up a huge, and I mean huge, question. What about the energy? What's the environmental cost of powering this AI revolution? And on this exact point, we're seeing two totally different philosophies play out. Over in the UK, Google is going all in on building out renewable energy and helping to modernize the power grid. Meanwhile, in the US, the Trump administration has floated the idea that to meet AI's crazy power demands, they might need to go back to more carbon-heavy energy sources. That is a pretty stark difference in approach. So what's Google's game plan for the UK specifically? Well, it's actually pretty clever. First, they're using air cooling, which is way more efficient than using tons of water. And this is the part I love. They're capturing all that waste heat from the servers and literally recycling it to warm up local schools and homes. How cool is that? And to top it all off, a deal with Shell means the whole thing will run on 95% carbon-free energy.
But look, Porat is also a realist. She says, wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine every hour of the day. You can't just rely on renewables alone. The real challenge, she says, is modernizing the whole electrical grid to handle that intermittent power effectively.
All right, that brings us to the other elephant in the room, the question that's on pretty much everyone's mind. We talked about the planet, but what about our jobs? Is AI going to be a helpful colleague, or is it a competitor?
So let's just ask it straight up. Is AI a threat to graduate jobs? Are we really looking at this AI-induced jobs crisis that everyone's worried about? It's a real fear, and it's something these tech companies can't just ignore anymore.
And you know what's interesting? Google isn't just brushing this off. Ruth Porat says it flat out. It would be naive to pretend there isn't a downside. She says if companies only use AI to cut costs and find efficiencies, then we're never going to see the real benefits. That's a pretty honest take, right? So, what's the alternative to just cutting jobs? Well, the vision they're pushing is AI as a collaborator.
So instead of replacing a nurse, for example, AI helps with the mountain of paperwork so the nurse can spend more time with patients. Or it could help a radiologist spot tiny details on a scan that a human eye might miss. It's about making humans better, not making them obsolete. And this all leads to her call to action, not just for companies, but for every single one of us. She's basically saying we need to start playing with these tools, get our hands dirty, because that's how we'll really understand how it can help us with what we do instead of just fearing it from a distance.
So at the end of the day, this £5 billion bet is just more proof that AI isn't some sci-fi movie anymore. It's here. It's happening now. The whole debate is shifting away from if we'll use it to how we're going to use it. And that kind of leaves all of us with one final, very big question to think about. Are we ready for that?